Welcome, Suzanne, to the Root of Our Health. I'm so excited to have you on here. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. When I was doing some research on you and your website and just, your talks and everything else like that, I couldn't help but feel your resilience and your tenacity of what you've gone through and what you're doing today. So I would love for you to tell my audience, your story, your background, and how you got to where you are today.
Great. So I am not a product designer. Let me start off with that. I do not do this for a living. I do not start startups. I created private packs, which our first product is a hot and cold vulva pack for the private body part, which can be used after a baby, spinning, painful intercourse, anything that happens on the privates, I've got you covered, quite literally. And I created it after Brazilian wax that I went to an upscale salon here in New York City, left me with second-degree burns. And I got home, I was in so much pain, but when I went to the freezer, like most people, you grab a bag of peas if you have a sore neck or a sore back, but it was as if my vagina said, I deserve better. Do not put peas on me. Like, stop it. So I went online. I actually grabbed a cold water bottle because it was round. It didn't have any sharp edges. And I sat on my couch. So while I was sweating the bottle and condensation was dripping down my legs, I was searching on the internet for a vaginal ice pack and I couldn't find anything. So fast forward, I was still working on Wall Street as a marketing executive, and I was going to leave my job and start private packs. I was going to launch it in 2017. However, 2 weeks prior, I found a lump in my breast while this guy was trying to dump me via text. It was when I crossed my arms and I'm like, oh my God, there's something there. I ran to the mirror and I saw the actual tumor pulling in my skin.
Wow.
So at that point, thankfully, I forgot all about the guy dumping me via text. And I went to the doctor right away. And after the biopsy was done, they were like, Suzanne, you have cancer. And at that moment, I thought about myself, which, all right, I should have. I was selfish. And I didn't think about the company. They did tell me that I had to postpone my launch because I had to get into chemo right away because it was growing and spreading very fast. So they made me pause the launch of the company and I had to get into chemo September 11th, 2017, which is already an emotionally charged date for me because I was here when the trade center came down. But yeah, that's the origin story of the company.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. Again,
Yeah, of course.
resiliency, perseverance, those are the two words that come from, who you are when you come out of, things like, tragic events like this. I couldn't just imagine what you felt like when you got that diagnosis. Obviously, you're going through one, stressful situation all of a sudden into another stressful situation. And yeah, be selfish, at this point, because without you, how can you make, private packs? How can you make this stuff? So you
Right.
had to be selfish in that moment, in that time.
Right.
So what was going through your mind when you got diagnosed?
I was wondering, so I'm actually Canadian.
Okay.
And I had moved here and my whole family's back in Canada. So I was trying to figure out how my treatment plan was going to go, because it's not like they teach you how to deal with cancer in gym class in school. So I had to figure it out for myself. And I'm not very familiar with the United States healthcare system. So navigating that was very difficult. I didn't understand treatment, but I did use all the skills that I use for private packs for my treatment. So when I had to find my factory for private packs, I requested quotes from 3 factories. And I did the same thing with treatment. I requested and visited 3 different oncologists to know what their treatment plan was going to be. And really what was important to me was the people's bedside manner, because I'm not dealing with more stress than I already have. And you better be nice to me because I'm already dealing with this by myself. So, and that was something I had already done for private packs. Like I really wanted to work with female manufacturers that understood the pain point on my customer. So everything was kind of like 360 and organically meshing together. The time when I got the diagnosis to even within chemo, I would take my laptop with me. I was always working. So I never doubted that the company wasn't going to launch because of cancer. However, cancer is expensive. And 8 weeks after leaving my job at Deutsche Bank, I had gone through all of my savings, which wasn't much because 90% of my earnings had gone to private packs and I only kept 10% for myself. So to go through the money 8 weeks was understandable because I know what I was doing, but I didn't see and I didn't save for, that moment when they say, save for a rainy day. And when the weatherman's like, Suzanne, it's raining, I didn't save for that at all. So I had to go on welfare and food stamps. And it was in the actual welfare office and on my ID card, I am just crying, like gut-wrenching crying, because I didn't know how am I going to launch a company while I go on welfare? Like I didn't have enough money to eat. How am I going to do this? Which seemed at the time like a very ambitious project. But I could tell you how I overcame that. But I want to give you time to ask me a question.
No, and yeah, just listening to that is just so, it's life, sometimes life just like, we don't think about these things just because obviously it's not in our realm to think about this, right? We're not always 10 steps ahead just because how do you know? You don't know what you don't know. And so, that feeling, I can just imagine that feeling of, I have to take, a few steps back. But did you, like, when you were going through that process, I mean, I know it was kind of gut wrenching, but, how did you get out? Like, how did you, persevere out of that? What were the steps to kind of move you along?
So what I did, I relied heavily on my faith.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm Catholic. So I was praying quite a bit because when you have nothing, that's all I had in my life was my faith to rely on.
Yeah.
I also told my community what I was going through, which was very easy to do because on Instagram, I was posting my cancer battle and they're going to be like, well, Suzanne, how'd you have hair on Saturday, but now you're bald as an eagle on Sunday? So people knew something was going on. But when I shared my story because of social media, which growing up, I didn't have that. None of us had that. If you're in your 40s and so on, we didn't have social media, much less the internet,
Right.
much less a fax machine back in the day.
Right. Exactly.
Because we used to have to use a phone to put it on the modem. That allowed me to break down the barrier to share my story openly and see if it resonated with people. Because I had to tell somebody because I was so alone here. Like I wasn't in a relationship. I don't have my family here.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I got to tell people. And that's when people showed up, when I let them in. And that's what kept me going. Now, unfortunately, what happened next propelled me to keep going with private packs because my medical team, which was like 5 doctors, which is like an oncologist surgeon, your nurses, your radiologist, they did not guide me with my sexual health during my cancer treatment. Because my breast cancer was fed by my estrogen, they had chemically induced me into menopause. None of them shared with me what was going to happen to my vagina. So because I was put into menopause, I was told about hot flashes and night sweats. I think because I was not in a relationship with a partner, they did not discuss with me what was going to happen down there, which was And you don't think about it, but when you have estrogen, sometimes people may think, oh, it's just for having babies. But your estrogen is really part of your endocrine system. And that's where the night sweats and the hot flashes come from. It's not just to make babies with your ovaries and your fallopian tubes. It really is like monitoring the rest of your body's temperature. And because of I was unable to produce estrogen, it actually prevented me from producing my own personal lubricant. And my vagina shriveled up and dried up.
Wow.
So I learned about that when I went to use a restroom at Whole Foods. I had to pee really badly. And I went to use the toilet and I used the toilet paper and I was bloody. But because I knew I was in menopause, I wasn't having a menstrual cycle. So why am I bleeding? And then when I was walking, it was hurting. So I asked my oncologist, I'm like, why am I in pain down there? I went to use the bathroom and the toilet paper, I think, cut me. And she goes, oh, that's part of menopause. I was like, well, why didn't you say anything?
Yeah.
She said, I thought you would have Googled it. And I said, well, this is a problem with you doctors. You doctors can't pick and choose when I go to Dr. Google and when I don't. It's either you're going to give me all the information or you're not. And that night I had to actually use a private pack because I was so swollen from the paper, from the towel, from the toilet paper, that it swolled my vagina shut. And now my vagina is at atrophy because of the menopause that I'm in, but no one talks about it, which is a bigger purpose of private packs. We are a sexual wellness company that addresses pain in the intimate body parts because no one's talking about it. Like there are many women that I've met that don't talk about what happens to their bodies after they have a baby because everyone inside the hospital is worried about the woman taking care of the baby, not taking care of herself and not prioritizing her health, which is a huge problem. But that is where it comes into the bedside manner of your doctors and your healthcare professionals.
Yeah. Wow. I can't believe you had to go through that. I mean, I can, unfortunately, because like you said, it's it's out there. The
Right.
healthcare system is not really, it's broken.
It's broken, but doctors don't want to mend because it is so commerce driven because they get paid per patient. So that's, if you see patients from 10 to 5, you can only average about 10 minutes per patient and get them in because the more patients you see, the more money you make.
Yeah.
And when I spoke to my advisor, who's a gynecologist, I asked her, I'm like, listen, side note from the company, my vagina is broken. What am I going to do? And she goes, well, we doctors don't really pay attention to that because we can't fix it surgically. We need to see patients that want to have surgeries because that's how we get paid. So we're interested in C-sections, vaginal births, fibroid removals, or anything that we can cut.
Right.
We don't want to help you manage your pain better because that means you won't visit us more.
Right. Right. And that is where, well, two things. That is where your private packs come in, right? So it was a full circle. It was like, so you are actually the client. You're actually the client, and you can speak from your story of how it works, why it's needed. So you saw, way back before you even went through all of this, you saw that there was a need. Now there's ever more of a need for the private packs just because of what's not out there and what's not helping women. But two, the second thing is, that is why I went into functional medicine as a health coach, because of the very fact of the bedside manner, right? We all want that care, that we want that care in that health care. So we don't want to be like another number, and this is our health. So that is, I hear your story and I hear it from so many other people that it's like they only want to see certain things, they only want to do certain things, and they only want to keep you sick to keep you going back. And so I just, commend you. Are you seeing another specialist, or what's going on after all of this?
So when I I had to take out my ovaries
Okay.
and my fallopian tubes to reduce the chances of the cancer coming back.
Okay.
So I spoke to my oncologist after the surgery and I told her, I was like, doctor, I'm going crazy. Something's wrong. She goes, well, it can't be menopause because you've already been in it for a year. Okay, you're the doctor. I'll take your word for it. Few days later, I had to admit myself into the psych ward because I was literally going crazy. In the psych ward at Mount Sinai, they told me that I was going crazy because of the estrogen reduction to my brain.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
couldn't even, give you that, I mean, and tell you to go see Dr. Google, number one, but they
Mhm.
couldn't even give you that path of healing.
Right. But this is what I will say I did do smartly.
Okay.
For every doctor I have seen since my cancer diagnosis, I have kept it within the same healthcare network, which here it's Mount Sinai.
Okay.
My gynecologist is at Mount Sinai, my psychiatrist is at Mount Sinai, my oncology team's at Mount Sinai, because within the healthcare network of the hospital, they can all see each other's notes.
Mhm.
And when I was going through cancer treatment, I did see a psychiatrist because it was given to me as part of my cancer treatment. And it showed the psychiatrist that I saw the night I admitted myself to the psych ward, that doctor recommended a prescription of antidepressant. So because the doctor the night I admitted myself saw that note from 2017, he's like, I'm going to give you that medicine that you should have taken in 2017.
Okay.
And I think that's really key. Instead of going around to different doctors
Mhm.
to get advice, try to go to different doctors within the same network.
Right.
So what I did drop that oncologist that was not helpful. And I found a different oncologist in the same hospital network, which is
Okay.
much better.
Good.
And she
Good.
got me to like a pelvic floor physical therapist. She actually has like information regarding sexual wellness,
Yeah.
what loops to buy, what vaginal suppositories to get for my sexual health. And that's really important. Like, how else are they supporting your sexual health
Right.
and empowering the patient? That even though I can't spend outside of 10 minutes with you, I have this information that will help you once you leave my office.
Right. Good. Yeah. No, that's like you said, it's smart that you did that, that you knew to stay within that network just because they have those notes of your
Right.
of your journey, so to speak.
Right. Right. And that's another way to empower your health.
Right. Right. And that is it. You have to, like you said, empower yourself to take control of your own health, even though you don't have all the answers, even though you need professional help, but understanding and knowing that you can't just give all of yourself to these professionals. You have to kind of take some of that control and say,
Right.
okay, well, how am I going to figure this out? Who am I going to see? What am I going to do? Ask those questions, because that will, not only you can answer them, but you get answers by asking those questions, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And joining those private Facebook groups, looking online, following your favorite gynecologist or, influencer that's in the health space.
Or listening to something like this.
Or listening to podcasts like yours to just get, even for 20 minutes, if you learn one or two things, then that empowers you.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a huge task. It can be something small, like listening to a podcast while you're going through your emails that can give you a nugget before your next doctor's visit.
Yes. Now, speaking of that, so you spoke about vulva before. I know that you deal with, understanding of or knowledge of vulva pain.
Yes.
Can you explain that for my audience, and when should they seek professional help?
I really believe that if pain exists over 2 days, that's when you should seek help. Now, there's many doctors that don't know about the vulva. They don't even explain that the vulva and the vagina are two different parts. And most women either are misdiagnosed or undiagnosed. I do recommend to people to empower themselves with information. So make the effort to go see 2 to 3 doctors, right?
Yeah.
Not to get the answer that you want, but the best answer for your needs.
Okay.
Because just because someone said, we suggest you have surgery, does not mean that's the end all and be all. That's what's so great about America. You can go to other people for advice.
Right.
Right?
Right.
You could ask your friends for recommendations.
Right.
And that's what's so great about private packs, especially being in CVS, that even though you are maybe undiagnosed or misdiagnosed, you do know how pain feels. If you're experiencing inflammation or swelling, you can go to CVS and just pick up something off the shelf. And CVS has got the most locations out of all the retailers. And that's really important, that partnership for us, because we really want to be where our customers are going to be.
Yeah.
Some people may not want to wait 3 to 5 days for shipping.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's smart.
And some people may, and some people may want to use their extra care card. Great. Go to CVS.
Yeah. That's smart.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. No. And again, helping, other women in this situation is key, and not only for them to empower themselves, but also for you to help them empower themselves. So that's,
Yes. And, a lot of people, sometimes it's out of reach, this type of care. And that's another reason the partnership with CVS was so important, because it is accessible. You can use your welfare card at CVS, because I remember when I was on welfare.
Yeah, exactly. So you're, like I said, now it's going back to you as a client, right?
Right.
So you're going through, hell, and you can't afford, anything, a lot of things.
Right.
And so what options are out there? And you created that option. And you're just like, okay, let's make it affordable. Let's make it, accessible. To whomever needs it, because obviously we need it. So
and it's really important that the product, which this is a private pack.
Oh, nice.
Right here.
Okay.
We made it slim enough where if you needed to go to work, because life doesn't stop when you have vaginal pain.
Right.
Life doesn't stop when you have vulva pain. It doesn't start at 5 o'clock when you get home.
Right.
You could put this on the drive to work. You can put it on under your skirt at the office, because pain is not 5 to 12 when you get home.
Yeah. Right.
And life doesn't stop because you have to feed the baby. Like you're still in need of comfort.
Right.
And that's why we exist.
Now, is it a cold? So it's a cold pack. How long does it stay cold?
Max 20 minutes, because the body, if you provide heat to the body, external heat, it creates the body to go in vasodilation. So it opens up the blood flow.
Okay.
At 20 minutes, the body knows to convert that to constriction. So it stops taking temperature.
Got it.
So that's why we all say 20 minutes max.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So is it dangerous? So I'm just kind of asking, so like you were saying, on the drive to work, what if your work, drive to work is 45 minutes and you're driving, is it dangerous to still have it in there, or is it just ineffective after 20 minutes?
It's going to be ineffective after 20 minutes because it is made with 70% of water.
Okay.
Your body temperature is naturally going to heat it up.
Got it. Okay. I just didn't know if you had to take it out right after 20 minutes or not.
I know it's going to cool down by itself, but you can also reach down your pants and take it out.
True.
Versus driving with a bag of peas between your legs. It's a little bit more discreet. Well, because, I do feel like we at Private Packs, we provide elevated healing.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be a bag of peas or a diaper that's made into a patsicle after you have a baby.
Yeah.
Which I'm childless, but I could not imagine me and my baby wearing Pampers.
Right. Right.
I think it's degrading, but I see the purpose in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like, I not to put like a gender spin on it, but I think because you are a woman, and I'm assuming somebody who made those diapers, so to speak, was a man. You knew the woman body, the woman's body, and you know what we need and what we don't need. And so again, I don't know who created that other product, but I could just assume that those type of things is the person was not thinking of a woman's body and what a woman really needs in that moment.
Yes. And as they say, bless their heart.
Yeah.
They tried.
Right.
And that's okay.
That's okay. Exactly.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But there are better products that are keeping up with innovation and tech to provide the best products and services to females.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to kind of go back on, you said you were, you're childless, and I want to go back on the breast cancer, because statistically, women of color and who do not have any kids are more prone or more susceptible to breast cancer. Was that ever a thought in your mind, or was that just like something that just never crossed your mind at all?
Never crossed my mind at all.
Okay, well that's good, because I know a lot of women get scared into, certain choices that, such as, having kids just because they don't want it. They know that they're, more susceptible to get breast cancer, so I should have kids because yeah. Okay, so that's my thinking. That's
I chose not to have children because I am the least patient person.
Got it. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. I have no patience for children at all, but I'm a great aunt.
Nice. Yeah.
That's my role in life, is to be an auntie.
Nice.
To be a mom, it just was not it's not in the cards for me.
Yeah.
And I made peace with that many, many years ago. But yeah, it wasn't because of cancer. I just, yeah. I don't even have patience for myself, much less a child. Yeah.
Well, keep on going, right?
Yeah.
It's again, I keep using these words, but it kind of spills out every single time I think about you. It's like the perseverance, the going through and thinking, problem solving, right? You're a problem solver. You want to get, you are essentially getting to the root cause of situations and issues in women's life, in your life. So, that I think is commendable no matter what.
Right. I just love women.
Yeah.
I think women are just amazing creatures. And if I can create something that comforts them and makes their life a little easier, then I will do that. Nice.
That's beautiful. I think we need more people like you, more women like you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it's a blessing to move from a place of mission and faith than of commerce and money. Nice. I'm lucky I have the freedom to just focus on my mission of women's health, impacting it, because I get the opportunity to have this be my legacy.
Nice. And was that your feeling and thinking when you were, you have that picture on your website of your mastectomy, of you, just being out there, right?
Yes.
Was that your thinking when you did that image, like, this is what, this is my mission, this is what I want to get out to the women in the world?
It wasn't my mission. It just happened to be a day that I was feeling empowered.
Okay.
And at that photo shoot, I had a friend there who helped me.
Nice.
And we just really had a good day. And I was in that mode and that headspace.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that, because that to me speaks volumes. That to me is raw and true. And, this is who you are, right? Yeah. And having that friend there, I'm sure, helped, kind of feel a little bit more safe, so to speak.
Yes.
In doing that. But, for me, I felt connected to you. I feel connected to you.
Thank you.
So I don't want to say I like to see it, but I think that authenticity, that rawness needs to be out there even more, because we are all going through some sort of, something, and showing our true authenticity. You never know who you're helping, right? You never know
Right,
who's going to see that and who's going to say, who you're empowering in that
right,
moment, to see
right,
that and be like, okay, if she can do that, so can I.
right, right. And
So,
that's exactly it, because I really come from nothing. I'm an immigrant, and I don't have an Ivy League background. I don't have all this major funding many companies are getting, but because my mission's so close to my heart, that's why I am successful. I'm very true to improving women's health.
nice. I'll keep on keeping on. So
Thank you.
yeah. Well, Suzanne, I could talk to you forever, because I am so
Right?
inspired by you, by your talks, by just in general, by your story, by your, again, I keep saying it, perseverance, your
Thank
tenacity,
you.
all of those good things. Before I get into the last two questions, or last two points, where can people find you, and yeah, and reach out to you?
Yeah, so definitely people can reach out to me at Suzanne at privatepacks.com. They can buy our product on privatepacks.com, at cvs.com, or in CVS locations nationwide.
Nice.
And all the locations are on our website.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And social media, or you're just more website?
I'm more website, but our social media handle is at Private Packs.
Perfect. Awesome.
Keep it
So
simple.
yeah, you have to,
Yeah.
consistent, because people aren't going to want to type in 10 different names and stuff like
No,
that. So,
no.
but I'll link it all in the show notes, so all they have to
Okay.
do is click on, and it brings them to wherever they need to go. So
Okay. Awesome.
Susanna, first before I get to the last question, I want to acknowledge you. And I know I've been acknowledging you throughout this interview, but what I just have to say, how the reason I brought you on is because we do need to talk more about our vagina and our sexual health. And as women, what happens? Because we can't rely, as you have alluded, we can't rely on those doctors out there to tell us our bodies. We only know our bodies. So empowering you, somebody like you on a podcast, empowering other women to with more knowledge and an understanding of it, it's going to be okay. This is how this is what we can do to get over these situations, such as vaginal dryness and vulva pain and all of that. Like it's not, it doesn't have to just be. So there is, that private packs out there for you. There's solutions. There's solutions to your problem, and
Easy solutions.
easy solution. But we also need to, have more knowledge of it out there in the world, and that is why I acknowledge you for you bringing that out to the world, speaking engagements, and just what your product is doing for women. So I just want to acknowledge you and say thank you for doing what you're doing, and thank you for being on here. So last question, I promise, is what is a favorite quote of yours, or any words of inspiration that you can share?
Sure. So I have a quote, and this is going to sound so cliche, and it's off of the Beyonce concert movie that's on Netflix. And she says in the movie, and she's successful, people know who she is. She said, if I can do it, anyone can do it. And that really is my quote. Like, if I can make it happen in this beautiful country of ours that I've adopted as my own without knowing anyone here, anyone really can do it.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's two in one. That's both a quote and inspiration in one. So that is beautiful. Thank you so
Yes.
much, Suzanne, for all of that. And thank you for being on here.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, until
Bye.
next time, bye.
Bye.